We've all heard the saying, money is the root of all evil, right? In my discussion with Logan Zuber, he talks through how his relationship with money has changed significantly. It begs the question, what is your relationship with money? What is my relationship with money? Is your business vision to make as much as possible? Is your personal goal to make as much as possible? But for what reason? Isn't it about more? Logan's relationship with money, as I said, dramatically changed starting 2 years ago. And now because of it, he's doing so much better financially. Listen to hear what, why, and how he changed. Logan, how you doing, my man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Good to have you here today. Excited to share your story with our listeners. It's been great getting to know you over the last couple of years, and you guys are going to enjoy this. So Logan, entrepreneur, real estate investor, family man, Christian, newly found Christian. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. We've had a lot of discussions around that, but really, Logan, I want to hear your story. HC Capital Partners is your business out of Fort Wayne, Indiana area, a little bit north of there, smaller town. Just like I'm from, quote, Dayton, Ohio area. You're from Fort Wayne and Indiana area. But Logan, your story, your backstory, there was a process to become the man you are today. Tell me a little bit about that and your backstory.
Yeah. Real estate has pretty much been the only thing I've done. I got my degree in environmental policy, and it turns out that degree doesn't pay very well. And so the first house I ended up buying was a 3-unit apartment house, and I lived in the upstairs, rented out the other 2 units. Yeah, that was my first house, and I was 23, I think, and I'm 30 now, so it's been almost my full-time gigs since then.
What made you go the entrepreneur's route?
My senior year of college, I was local, so Fort Wayne area, and my brother had a welding company he was starting up 30 minutes north, and he needed some help with that. And so I just came in kind of while I was finishing up school, and the other jobs I was looking at was we'll pay you $17 an hour if you go get your master's degree. I'm like, well, that's not going to work. I wanted to work for the national parks or something. But I just ended up helping him out. And like I said, I bought my first house kind of at the same time, right after I graduated, and it started working out right from there.
And so did you did you grow up in an entrepreneurial family? Did you see your brother doing this? I want to have my own business as well. Did you start seeing I'll say career path that's so common, I just don't want to do that and the money's not that good? Or just you had so much success early where you just kept going? Dig into this a little bit more.
Well, it wasn't that there was a ton of success early. It was a rough couple years at that welding company that we had. And no, we didn't have any entrepreneurs in our family. Really, my brother and I are the only ones. So maybe I just kind of, brotherly love, followed in his footsteps, wanted to help him out. It was actually quite a challenging company. We grew pretty quickly, and we made the mistake of 90% of our business was 2%, or 90% of our business, was 2 customers. So I remember at one point on the way down kind of with that company, I opened up a credit card in my name to make payroll. And I wasn't an owner of the company, but I wanted to keep the guys going because I saw the long-term vision of it. So I was able to keep in mind, I didn't have, a girlfriend hardly then. I didn't have any kids. My risk was I had nothing to lose.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. So risk, because I from knowing you a little bit, I think you're there's ready, aim, fire people. I would say I'm a ready, aim, fire person. I think you're either ready, fire, aim, or maybe fire, ready, aim, different than me in that you just go after it. But you're so relationship with risk, taking risks. So there's a lot of our listeners that maybe they're in a career, but they're thinking about a side hustle, real estate or not. This, it doesn't need to be that, but just they're thinking about trying something different, whether it's to generate revenue and money from that for their family or for whatever reason they have, or they're just feel really passionate about a topic and or a calling, or they think they could just be really good at something or have an impact, right? But something's holding them back. They're maybe more like me where they're ready, fire, aim, and overthinking this. Is this, you haven't struggled with this at all where you don't even think about it, or have you thought a lot about risk and Put this in perspective for us a little bit.
Well, certainly my risk tolerance has changed after now I'm married. As a 23-year-old, my risk tolerance was like nothing because I had nothing to lose, versus now I'm a father to a 14-month-old. I have a wife. I have responsibilities. So yeah, certainly my risk tolerance has changed, but I have never suffered from analysis paralysis. I think I'm able to evaluate things quickly. Like I don't want to overthink things because then I think you can just talk yourself out of something good. But at the same time, I've made mistakes doing that too. So it comes at a cost.
Yeah. And so what I actually want to maybe challenge, or I wonder how much life circumstances for different people change. Like, so, there's a 25-year-old listening to this that doesn't have the responsibilities that you have now. There's, a 35-year-old that has a couple of young kids. There's a 45-year-old that's listening that has some kids, but they're adult. They've kind of figured things out financially, but now there's just all these fears of like, well, who am I, my identity, or I know this career so well. Like, tell me more about this.
Like as far as like how to adjust the risk tolerance, maybe.
Yeah. Or how do you size it up? Like, what's that process look like?
Well, yeah. Like if you're 25 and you have nothing to lose, I mean, you should be going out there and short of risking everything you have, why not? That's kind of my philosophy of it. You're not going to lose much. Yeah, I guess you could go bankrupt. That'd be a bad thing. Do your research versus, now as a 30-year-old with, like I said, a wife and a baby, my risk tolerance is changing a little bit to it's like, okay, like I can go and do that avenue, but is that going to take away time from my family? Is that going to make me travel more? Is that going to risk my wife being able to stay home and raise our child? Like that, those are things I am going to protect headstrong against.
Yeah. So I want to shift to one other shift that we've talked about a lot is like relationship with money. And even I think the purpose for money, the understanding of money, and it's like what it does for you. How did your relationship with money start as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. And if I go too far down this rabbit hole, you interrupt me, because this was my biggest thing, was my relationship with money. So money was my God, right? Like 23 to 25-year-old making, I'm not making like $1 million a year or anything like that, but making significantly more than other people my age, and, trying to keep a lid on your ego about that. But, money for me was just, hey, my, girlfriend, fiance at the time, like we can go travel wherever we want. We can go fly first class. We can go do all this and that. Look what money can provide me. Money can give me control. Money can give me, power. I can kind of do the things I want, and not like in an extreme way, but it definitely was, as far as like my house flipping business, like, definitely not treating it properly, because I would, not do things to the best morally and ethically, as a younger kid getting started, because if you're in my way between me and like making a lot of money, I'm going to do what I can to get around that. And so, being a father changed that a lot. Finding faith changed that, because I saw the direction in which I was going and I knew it wasn't good.
You're still a business person, right? And I don't think you're forgiving, you're apologizing for figuring out business and how to make money. But how do you think about it now?
It's certainly, a tool to still do the things that I want to do. But now I'm trying to more think, generationally, the legacy for me, my kids, how are my kids going to remember me? How raising up my son, I need to be the man that I want him to become. So that means I've had to change the way in which I do some things. So yeah, I don't get me wrong. Like we still travel quite a bit, but it's not, I used to want, bigger house. Still, big house, like a mansion type house, like all these things. And now I'm like, man, I'm in the house I bought when I, 5 years ago. So 25, I bought this house for $50,000, and like, I put a lot of money into it. It was a fixer upper, but like, man, I'm content here. Like it's pretty much paid off. My wife's able to stay here. I can raise our kids here. Like, yes, I want something bigger eventually, but like, I'm not in a rush. Like I've had to learn being content, but not being complacent.
I want to come back to content and not complacent, because that's an important topic. But I also want to talk about this whole like financial freedom thing, right? That's out there. Like, how freeing has it been not the money you've made, but the relationship with money. How much has that shifted your freedom? Because I think that's what's more important. Like financial freedom isn't about how much money you make. I think it's more about your relationship with money than it is the money you make. So tell me more about how you feel differently, or do you feel more free because of your relationship?
Yeah, I mean, the way I heard it described really well, actually, Matt King, the CEO of GoBundance, he said money was a very tangible scorecard you could use. It's like the one thing that there's a scorecard, if I have more of, I'm essentially winning. And I still want to, my goals have changed, like used to, it's like if I don't make $100,000 a month passively by 35, 40 years old, then like this has all been for nothing. And it's like, that's not the case at all. Like the money has given me the freedom to where like, I'm okay not going after every single dollar, because you know what? In the mornings, I get to take my son for the first hour of the day. He comes out to the garage gym with me and hangs out. I come home nearly every day for lunch and I get to see him again. I'm home every day for dinner. Like, and you can push yourself to an extreme, and there's a season for everything. Like, don't get me wrong. If you're out grinding right now because that's the season you need to be in, that's different. But your family ought to be your priority still. And you might be doing it for their priority. So I don't want to kick somebody if they're in their season of hustling and they need to do that for their family. That is different.
So content versus complacent, which I think like a lot of people listening, if I'm content, I'm probably being complacent is the default, like how I would think about that. How's that? Why is that wrong?
I think content, and it's, it's something I had to tell myself over and over. It would almost be like, kind of like a fake it till you make it. Like, yes, I'm content. But, and it's still, it's an ebb and flow, right? But like, I remember very specifically, like 2 months ago, after we had church, we came back home where I'm grilling outside. My son's playing in the backyard, the sun's shining. I'm like, this is great. This is everything I could possibly desire. Now I still strive for more because, I don't want to be idle, and I like growing. I like seeing what I'm capable of. I want to use my talents properly. But like that was a fantastic moment where like I truly am content. And then, then you go to sleep and you wake up the next day, you're like, you should be content. You need to drive. So like I said, it ebbs and flows, but you got to keep it in the back of your head.
But I also think contentment actually, like there can be complacency, laziness, like those things do not give you contentment. Contentment's a good thing. Those things do not give you contentment. Actually, they will probably do the opposite. If you're super lazy and complacent, you're not going to be content with where you are. If you're going after something, even if family or business, but if you're going after something that's like purposeful, intentional, I think the being courageous gives contentment, not complacency. I think it's actually that's why I think it's an important topic, is I think people misunderstand what it means.
Well, and speaking of laziness, like laziness is actually something that I feel like I can suffer from that's where I gravitate towards. I feel like everybody has like kind of a bad thing they might gravitate towards. Like I don't really drink. I don't, try to do bad things, I guess. But like laziness is something I gravitate towards. And that's because within my business, like my kind of role within that partnership, HZ Capital Partners, where we buy warehouses and stuff, is like, if I get a new task assigned to me, like this is something I have to do, I will learn it, I will make it efficient, and then I outsource it. So we have a virtual assistant who works for us, and I'm like, hey, here's exactly how you do this. This is now your responsibility. So that is great, right? Like that sounds like something great. It's like I'm offloading all this stuff, but then at the end of the day, you're sitting there, it's like, okay, well now what do I do? So you have to like fill it, and sitting down idle, it's not good for you.
Yeah. Well, and I think so you can accomplish a lot too. And you reference kind of two things there, but people and processes. And I think you're using your, as you say, laziness that you have, but I don't know if it's laziness as much as like, I want to build a system that operates without me so I can, generate business, generate revenue, have an impact, whatever it is. And I think honestly, it's not laziness. You're putting the work in up front to create those systems. Like there's a lot of work up front, but then you get to sit back and kind of watch it happen, I think is what you've been able to figure out. So I want to shift gears and talk a little bit about the last couple of years. We talked about relationship with money a little bit, and the root of that is kind of your faith journey. But over the last couple of years, you've grown a lot, you've changed a lot. And tell me where that started, why it started, and kind of how it evolved.
Yeah, that's a heavy question. I think I could just see a way in which my life was going that, I just wasn't acting properly. Not that I was out doing like evil things, right? But I'm just like, this is not who I kind of want to be. And it all stemmed kind of from when my wife got pregnant. It's like, oh boy, it's like now it's real. And, after being in GoBundance, one thing I was kind of noticing, was I'm seeing these guys and like you, seriously, for an example, like you, Luke Henry, and a couple other guys in like my area. I'm like, these guys seem very happy. They love their families. Their families seem to love them. They are doing well in business. They have this like purpose. They have this thing. And what is it? And it turned out you guys are all Christians. And so I leaned into it a little bit. I'm like, and I grew up atheist. Like my parents were atheists. Like it was nothing. It wasn't like, we don't like God type of thing. It was like, you and I both know that like Germany has a trade policy, right? Like we both know this thing exists, but like, we're never going to talk about that. Like it's of no interest to us. But these guys in faith kept kind of surrounding me, and people in my lives that just kind of kept pulling me. And so one day I'm just like, all right, we're going to church. And I escaped my town and I went to a different town because I didn't want to run into anybody I knew, because like, dude, seriously, all my friends, atheists, like all of them. And like, it was all my life and a significant amount of my family. So it's something that I'd love to say it was like a click, right? But it wasn't. It was a slow burn, and it was very freeing to kind of be around that, lean into that, and, then finally find Christ. And it's changed everything about my life, how I practice business, how I'm a father, how I'm a husband, how I interact in my community, my long-term goals. I'm trying to think more generationally now versus, I'm going to make as much money as I can so I can spend it till I die.
So I love this story. A couple of things I want to go to. First of all, I think in business, I think as a family leader, I think in your faith, I think in your health, like the power of your associations and recognizing you didn't do this. You did this intentionally, but not from a faith perspective, I think, in that you were looking for different groups of people to be around, but for business purposes. But it led to kind of, being observant. By the way, I had no idea this was happening, and I must have fooled you well, that I have it all together, because I don't, because I got a lot of issues. But nonetheless, I'm glad I fooled you. I'm glad you're where you're at. And I know you mentioned Luke Henry, who's a great friend of ours who had a great impact. And you had a lot of discussions with him that, shame on me for not having those too. But it's really cool to see. And my point of that is, you referenced like a lot of your friends were atheists. But you didn't change your associations for this purpose, but the change in your associations for business had an impact on your faith as well. And the point I'm trying to make here is like, to the listeners, if you like pay attention to what you're paying attention to who you're surrounding yourself with, to the social media that you're following, to the TV shows and the commercials that you see all the time, like you are, like society is feeding you, and you are growing in a direction, good or bad, intentional or unintentional. And for you, like it or not, the friends you were around that are atheists they weren't maybe pulling you in a bad direction, but they were certainly keeping you in a spot from a faith perspective where you weren't growing in a good direction. So I just want to encourage people, like your associations, the power of that. I mean, even if faith is a core value of yours, or what your core values are, there's even a scorecard where like, hey, Logan, I'll just use you. I'll pick on you for a second. Logan, faith is a core value of mine. Logan 5 years ago was an atheist. You can put a plus, a minus, or a plus minus. I'm going to put a minus. He is not going to help me get better within that core value. Whereas now Logan today, if there's a new line, he's a plus under faith. Like I should spend more time, have more discussions with him around faith. So kind of audit your network and say, if these are my values, what I believe, then I better be hanging out with people that are aligned with me, because a lot of times we naturally get pulled from that. And that's not just friends. that's social media and other things too, as I referenced. So I don't know if you want to add to that before I have some other things I wanted to go there too.
Yeah, the first thing I want to do is I want to defend atheists because I know somebody out there is listening to this and like, oh, another Christian talking about Christian and impact on their life. Like, I know not all atheists are like bad people. Like, they're not out just all doing evil thing. I get it. I just saw the direction in which I was heading, where money was the only thing I really seemed to care about. And I'm seeing these other guys in my life who are out being, the salt and the light, right? Like, what do these guys have? And I know you don't have it all together. Nobody has it all together, but you're like, I can like see this like purpose and fulfillment and like just pride and in a good way behind it, like being proud of what you're doing and what you're doing it for. And just kind of that attracting people. And that's what I want to do. Like I've been in a lot of these younger guys, and look, I know I'm 30, right? Like, I'm not that old. I've not been in the game forever, but I want to help these guys who might be on that direction and be like, hey man, like, you don't have to be like where I'm at 100% today, but like, let's guide you. I want you to be an entrepreneur. I want you to make money and be able to provide for your family. Like, I want all these things for you, but I want you to grow responsibly and do it out of a sense of, be fulfilled in it.
Yeah. And I want to, we talked about this a little bit beforehand too, but, business owners, business leaders, faith in business like that, is that are those in alignment? Is that a conflict? You even said like what you're doing and why you're doing it has shifted. Talk to me a little bit more about, entrepreneurship and how you think about it now.
I view it as a way to be able to provide for my family. Like, my wife is able to stay home. He's a 14-month-old, right? So it's like, our goal is to either homeschool or some like Christian education. And the thing I'm always hesitant with is because like, I know times are hard right now for like a lot of people. Like, things are very expensive and you might need that dual income right now. And so you have to send your kids to daycare and stuff like that. Like, I get it. And I sympathize with you. My hope is that, to kind of inspire these young guys, like, don't look at this as like, you need to get this done within 6 months. Like, this is a multi-year plan to like, let's get you, if your wife wants to stay home, have your kids have a Christian education, be involved in your community. Like, I'm on my town's plan commission and BZA. Like, I want other guys involved. You need to have a say, and people who have like this long, if you're kind of thinking generationally or at least long term, you're going to have different priorities than people who are not. People who don't have kids are going to have different priorities than you and what you want for your community and for your involvement.
But your encouragement is, especially someone that's younger, like, first of all, we're talking about like Logan started at 23, like he's just, he's 30, he's got all this figured out. and both business and your faith growth were, you said like slow burn. Like, I think it's so important to have a vision for your life and for your family and what that looks like. Your son's young right now. You're doing things and just building that relationship, but also you're thinking a lot about what that looks like in the future. And I want to come back to like family leadership and like what, the importance of, or even how you describe a man, like what does that mean? But before we do, I just want to reiterate that I don't know if this is a call out to men. I didn't think, but like, you need to lead the family. And from a financial perspective, you need to step up and lead the family and think about like what that means and design, like what does your family look like? And you need to take ownership of that. That doesn't mean women can't work. I'm not saying any of that. Like, that's a personal choice of yours. But I would say that you should design and define what you want and figure that out. So if your wife can stay home a little bit more, or if she wants to have a career and have a big impact and she loves what she does, that's okay. But I think the important part is get clear of what you want for your family and then go after that and figure it out over a 2, 5, 10-year timeline.
And I would even say that you are leading your family, even if you don't think you're leading your family, or if it's not something you care about. Like, if you're taking a passive role, you're leading your family still. Like, if you're being lazy, if you're not doing what you need to do, it's like you are still leading your family. You're just not leading them in what I would say is the correct way.
So what is the correct way? Like, family leadership?
I always say I'm going to have it all figured out, right? But I have what I'm trying to do.
And that is what?
Set a good example for work, for providing for the family, as we've talked about, for building generationally, being involved in your community, and not taking a passive approach to living life, like not letting things just happen to you and be reactionary, but taking a active role in setting the course for your life. I think it is so important, especially for local businessmen, for me, it's all about faith now, right? Like, this is my thing. So if you don't want me to lean into it, I'm just going to keep going into it. I think as a man of faith, it is so important for you to be involved in your town and the things you do, because if you're going to grow and raise your family here, you need to have a say of what's going on. I mean, do you want to be in town where they're just start letting like a bunch of strip clubs and stuff come in? Like, where do you want to raise your family? So you need to take an active approach in that. And that's leading your family that way, trying to be, involved in their education, involved in their physical fitness, involved in everything you can possibly do to make them into who they should be.
I want to ask, shift gears a little bit, like the last few questions here. For Logan to be successful over the next 5-10 years, what does that look like?
A wife that loves me, a child that loves me, a community I'm involved in, a business that is, I'd love to say flourishing, but a business that I'm involved in, that I'm giving my strength to, my time to, and just trying to raise up a godly family that makes, that, we can be proud of, to do the work that we do. Like, I mean, even flipping houses locally, like, I know I'm just flipping houses, but I've even changed my attitude on that. Like, I am 100%, I know for a fact, I am providing the nicest remodels in my town, which is easy to say in a town of 13,000 people, but I go to a couple different towns. But I just finished up a manufactured house remodel that I put quartz countertops in. I did custom cabinets. Like, I go over the top on it because I want to provide I want to be very proud of the product that we can provide. So it's kind of changing. I want to be proud of the work that we're doing. Like, even with warehouses, like, they're just warehouses, right? But you can manage them properly. You have businesses in there that are providing jobs in those communities that they're in. It's kind of finding your niche and taking pride in it, even if it's just landscaping, just roofing, just flipping houses.
From my seat, it seems so obvious, but you didn't even say it, but your shift in how you're running your business and the pride you're taking and what you're offering, if this is a first time home buyer house, like, they're going to feel good about it. They're not going to find, I'm not saying there'll never be mistakes, but they're not going to find lipstick on a pig,
right,
anymore, where they might've found that 5 years ago, perhaps. But my point is, you're doing it you've shifted how you run your business for the right reasons. You didn't even reference money there, but I guarantee you're probably going to get a little bit of extra money and make a little bit more profit because you're doing it the right way, A. And B, you're going to be in the game and be so much more successful long-term because you're doing things the right way. Like, you have to just there's an equation that I've been thinking about, is like, life happens to you. How you live will deliver the results you get. Like, what you have, money, success, titles, is based on life plus how you live. And that will get you success. And if you want success, define how you live to get success. And that's good. But the more important equation is define who you want to be, like, define who you are, which is what you've done. Like, I want to be proud of the product we provide. That's who we are as a business. And that's defining how you live. And you can be completely content with just how you live equals who you are. That's it. Not what happens to you, not the worldly results you get, but just how you live is who you are, and define who you are, who you want to be. If that guides how you live, the results the success, all that stuff will work out for itself.
And a short comment that I think is important, but it took me a while to wrestle in my head, was, buying houses in particular. Typically I'm buying houses in cash from people. I'm not buying, typically from people who are in the best scenario, right? And I used to take advantage of that. Like, you're in a hard spot, I can profit off this. And I'm not saying I would do it every time, but it definitely happened 100%. And as I found faith, as I transitioned a little bit, I was like, oh man, am I going to be able to keep doing real estate? Like, this is all I know. Am I going to be able to keep doing this? Like, how do I honor God in this? And so I'm like, I'll just slowly make the change. Like, I'll just start being 100% honest with people, doing things the right way, and just buying houses. And what I found was, if I just be more honest with people and I'm 100% transparent, it turned out I kept making money and being profitable in my business. And now I have a product that I can be proud of. And look, you're in a small town and you're remodeling houses, like your reputation can get ruined very quickly with one bad deal.
Yeah.
And so I found that, like, even though I'm doing things properly now, it's like I kept making money, and it's like I'm being blessed with this. Like, this is a good thing. Like, keep driving this. And I know some people, like I've talked to about, doing like honoring God in their business and stuff. They're like, yeah, but that's God and this is business. I'm like, no. You are going to get so much more fulfillment and do good work if you merge the two. Like, that's kind of your secret weapon.
Yeah. And even, I mean, you took what I said a step further, because you said not only did you not change your business to make more money, you actually changed your business thinking you're going to make less money. And net, like, you might make less on a deal, but long term, you're going to do so much better because of it. Like, the returns are going to be great because you're just doing the right thing. Like, that's where, like, we do things so often for success. But when we do things for who we are for the right reasons, we'll actually get more success. But we're also not even after that. We're doing it just because we're clear on our identity and our business's identity.
And it's a people business. And I had to switch from just trying to help myself and my family to get all we could to genuinely trying to help the people. Like, I'm not saying that came easy. Like, I had to force my way into it. Like, all right, Logan, I know what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to go in there. They're going to want 50,000. You're going to want to offer 30. You're going to try and, really get them down. But like, I would go in there and I would talk to them and be like, hey, look, I am not the buyer for everybody. I am the buyer for certain people in certain situations. If you go and list your house, you will 99% chance get more money. And I'm like, even if you don't sell to me, there's some guys in the area I will recommend. There's some people out of town, out of state, who I will not recommend. Use me as a resource. If they give you a higher price, I will read your contract for free. Like, you don't even have to sell to me. Like, I will help you with it. Like, you need a roof, I have a good roofer. I'll make sure you get a good discount. You need a new furnace. My furnace guy's gonna be way cheaper than anybody else in town. Like, genuinely trying to help these people, and they remember it. And it's like, oh wow, now you get referrals and stuff. And that's not. And I don't want to say that's why you do it, but like, you help them, and it's like, wow, this actually is a good thing that gets rewarded.
Are you familiar with the book The Go-Giver?
No.
Oh, it's one of my top 5. So Bob Berg was on one of our early podcasts when it was still the real estate podcast. But phenomenal book. But you're doing that, and he talks about it. It transformed the way I just went about business in general, and even tried to do life. But it's just like, you just serve, and you do it. Like, it's a sales book, but that's not why he doesn't even talk about sales. If you just serve, like consultative selling, just you're helping people, serving people. And honestly, I think there's a lot of that mindset, unless it's like what I'm paying attention to. Like in the real estate world, I think there's a lot of abundance and serving mindset that I think we would be great to have that in more and more industries. If you just serve others, serve your customers, serve your competition, serve everybody that you know, and like can be a ultimate connector. That feels really good. That just, and what's really cool about your story is you didn't read that book. Like I did, I had to read the book to figure that out, but you didn't read that book. You just started doing these things, and business is thriving because of it. So I think that's really good. Go Giver is a great book. Any books that you would really recommend, like transformed your thinking, any topic, faith, business, family, whatever?
As far as faith in my marriage, the most helpful podcast by far is called Bright Hearth. It's a pastor out in Utah, and his wife, and they just talk about raising up a godly family, children. They've got like 7 kids, but it gave me so much more like, oh my gosh, I should be doing that as a husband. Oh, I should be doing that as a dad. Like, nothing business related at all, but it has been made one of the most phenomenal impact on both me and my wife. Like, she really dug into it then too. And it's been incredible. As far as business books, I don't read a lot of books anymore. I don't read a lot of business books anymore. Really, like I'm more on like the spiritual kick now. So this is all I've been obsessing about as I lean into it.
I love it, man. I want to just closing question for you. If you step back, think about what you're doing, why you're doing it, step back and reflect. How does what you're doing, how does it make you feel?
Way more fulfilled, way more like I'm doing this for my family, for God, for like truly taking pride in our role as citizens, I get, people and a family and our fulfillment of that. Like I want our family to be a light to others as others were to me. That kind of drew me to it. I want to be that for other people. Be like, yeah, just because you're there, like you can get here. And it doesn't take much time, man. Like 2 years, not that long of a time to where like this podcast would have been totally different if you had interviewed me 2 years ago.
Yeah, I love it. And, Ed Milet says, and I think you're doing it and living it, but like you're in such a great position to help people that are like your former self, where you can really, wherever you're at on your faith journey, on your business journey, on your family journey, use Logan's story as an example to inspire you to change things over the next year or two. As you're thinking about 2026 and what shifts you want to make, whatever area of life is, think about Logan's story and how that can inspire you. You can make these changes. You can grow in all different areas of life. And I think an important message from this discussion is just like business, faith, like family, these things. I don't like the term balance and like, I have to compromise this for this. Like, no, these things can be integrated. They can be aligned. I think it's so important to understand the connection to these things. I encourage people bring faith into your business more. Like, and it doesn't need to be preaching the gospel, just being a good person. And people are going to start to observe like Logan did, like what is it about that person that, just makes them happy, content, joyful, peaceful with what they're doing. So Logan, I appreciate it so much. And it looked like you might want to add something to that.
No, man, I love it. You remember a couple years ago, man, I was at like a really low point, just like was not getting enjoyment out of life. And man, like, I feel like I'm very much like the luckiest man in the world. Like I'm very happy and I don't have it all figured out. I still have my own things that I work on that I struggle with, but like, I know that I'm trying and that I'm gearing towards something long-term that I can see the vision of, that I like, that I love, that I enjoy.
I love it, Logan. This has been really cool discussion, fun. We went down some rabbit holes that I wasn't expecting, but that's why I love doing this show. And honestly, I love it because I just get to have conversations with great people that are doing great things, that are growing and changing themselves. We're not claiming to have this stuff all figured out, but we're working on it. For you, what is that thing you're working on? What do you want to focus on in 2026? Check, by the way, we're working on getting our tool out there, the Purpose Matrix. Check out the website, thepurposematrix.com. But if you're thinking about 2026, take what Logan said, think about it, reflect on it for yourself. Let's pick 1-2 areas of life where you're really going to shift things and make the changes that Logan did. Logan, I'm so appreciative of your time and being so gracious, and more importantly, our friendship and our growing friendship. Thank you,
Phil.
For the Purpose Matrix, signing off.